doing? Thanks for coming back to the Mike Gormley Show. We're talking to Susannah B about some of her new music, some of her past music, some of why she wasn't going to do music and now she is, and things like that. But I want to ask you something. Have you run into AI yet? Have you run into
No,
any kind of dilemma there or anything?
no, I'm not really. I'm kind of like the person closing their eyes and sticking their fingers in their ear going, no, 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 no. Like I'm sort of pretending it's not for me yet, but of course it will be soon. But my friends and my husband just started talking to Chat GBT or whatever, but I
Yeah,
haven't
I got a
dipped
friend
my
who,
toe in yet.
not a songwriter friend, but a friend who, it's like there's a conversation going on, and who the heck is that on the other side? But it's amazing, and it's really you're not sure if it's a good thing or not.
Yeah, yeah. Every time my dear friend and manager Ron starts telling me how, Chat GBT can write a fantastic movie script or a song
Yeah.
or whatever, I don't know. There's a part of me that feels like, well, what will save us? What will make us still relevant? And I do think actually that it's going to be the in-person stuff because that's what AI can't do. It can't recreate the warmth of person to person, of looking in someone's eyes, of sitting there, when you're at a performance and you're kind of like almost at someone's feet, you're in the front row or whatever, and just like
Mhm.
watching that way. I've done that so many times, and I don't think AI can recreate that, but I could be wrong.
Well, give it a try. I know some writers who don't want to, but it's too intriguing to not. They'll feed some lines to it and see what it comes up with.
Really? Okay,
And,
so they're
and
like co-writing a song with
yeah,
AI. Wow.
and it's scary because the
Yeah.
thing writes back in 30 seconds a complete song.
Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, or what you do with it is another thing. But it's pretty amazing yet troublesome in some way. I don't.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say. That kind of freaks me out, but I
Well,
guess it is. It's here. It's here to stay, and so we have to figure it out, I
well,
guess.
like you said, as far as we know, it can't play live yet.
Right.
And you mentioned earlier that you might do an evening of your mom's music. Is that correct? Tell me more about that.
Yes. I have a dear friend who is the artistic director of a relatively new theater company out in Palm Springs called The Bent, and
Mm.
it's Palm Springs' first LGBTQ plus theater. And this is run by my beloved best friend I've known since I was 16, and so he has was a big fan of my mother's music, and then also is a fan of mine. So we are going to do two evenings, October 28th and 29th. I'll do an evening of Susannah B first. And then the
Wow.
next night I'll do an evening of Carol Hall,
Oh,
sung
good for you.
by, yeah. And I mean, about 10 years ago, I did do a show of my mom's songs and mine that was called Daughter of. And I talked a little bit about the paradox of being the child of somebody really creative and the pros and cons of that. And this time I will, yeah, have them be separate evenings. So I'll really focus on my mom in one evening, and I'm looking forward to that.
That's very cool. Remind us of that when you get closer.
Okay, I will.
Tell people about it because it sounds like a really interesting. And Palm Springs is one thing. You're not thinking about maybe doing it elsewhere, or is this a?
Absolutely, yeah. New York, LA for sure, San Francisco. I'd love, yeah. My goal over the next year or two is to really be getting out there and performing live more. Because again, when I was a mom and an indie artist during the mom years, I would do a show every now and then, but I mean, there were certainly times where I didn't do any performing, or my performing. I performed at many school fairs and fundraisers, so I always kept my toe in, but now I have more time and I'm really working with a vocal coach to do some things that I've never done before vocally, just working on my performance stuff. Because I started performing when I was a young kid and I love it.
It's funny you bring that up. I was in a conversation a couple of months ago with a friend of mine who sings a lot, who, in my opinion, sings okay and not great. And I finally said to him, even Barbara Streisand has a voice coach. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's you gotta. it's why not go to, anybody you know who's a musician has had or is working with a teacher of some sort, or
Yeah,
it only expands what you're doing. So you see that as a plus, right? Just keep you maybe
absolutely.
fine or whatever.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, first of all, it's like just having a trainer and, working out, staying fit. I hadn't had a vocal coach in about 10 years. And so I knew last year I was like, okay, I'm due for somebody. The last time I'd worked with someone, I'd worked with him for, 4 or 5 years and then kind of took that and did a couple of projects, the jazz album and that after I worked with that guy. But I found that every coach I've had has brought me to a new level, and it is pretty amazing, even as I age. The voice can stay quite youthful. I remember going to see. I've seen a number of older performers, including Paul McCartney, Mick Jagger, Bruce Springsteen. Barbara Cook was a very well-known cabaret singer. I saw her at her 80th birthday at Disney Hall, and her voice was extraordinary. So I value that a lot. And even though maybe my neck doesn't look exactly how it used to. My voice actually sounds way better than it did 10 or
Oh,
20
that's
years
good.
ago.
That's
So,
good to know, and good
yeah,
you keep working on it. I'm
exactly.
told, I can't say I got this firsthand by any means, but I'm told when Mick Jagger's going to go on tour, he gets on the um, what do you call it? The
Treadmill?
running, yeah, and sings at the
Yep.
top of his lungs,
Yeah.
and while running.
Yeah. I've
And,
seen that before. Yeah, he's not the only one. I think I've seen Taylor Swift doing that. And also years and years ago, I remember I met with a vocal coach in New York City, and he said that he had Bette Midler doing that. Like that's a really tough thing. But
oh,
yeah, singing actually is so physical. I think it keeps me in good shape, and it makes me want to be in good shape. And now this next year, I want to explore a little bit more of my movement. I'm always somebody who, I'm not talking about like dancing with the stars type dancing, but I like to move. And so I'm just going to be giving myself more permission to do that on
that's what
stage.
we were talking about doing vocals, and again, I was in a friend's class. I was not, I was just doing it for the fun of it, but it was good for the psyche.
Yeah,
But I didn't know what to do.
right.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to sing this song. I didn't know what to do with my hands with it. I just stood there. She said, can't you move a little bit? No, I can't.
Yeah. It feels so weird. I know. And sometimes stillness is the best thing, but you feel like you should move. And
But,
um,
but when you see people doing that, it looks natural, and maybe at some point it gets natural, but it's not natural to get up in front of people and dance or
no, it's not.
move around a stage, whatever it might be. You gotta
Right.
overcome something, I think, to do that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did, but you have to. Do you do that? You
I do
move?
that. I always have a voice, like I said in the song "The Enemy in Me." I do have a voice that's like, "What are you kidding? Who do you think you are? You can't do that." And it'll just go on and on and on, and I just have to be like, "Shh, okay, shh." And I guess I just ultimately kind of found I don't know, like a spiritual connection to being a singer, which is just like this is the way that the creative force, whatever it is, that pours through me. This is
Yeah,
my unique way of expressing, and it's maybe it's not as good as her. It's better than him, but it's just me. It's not. We're not measuring it, and at this point, I'm not like concerned with being a world famous pop star. I just really want to connect and go out there, and I deliver my healing songs. If they connect with people, great. They won't connect with everybody, but I just sort of made that like kind of a purpose for me
yeah.
that could make me feel more grounded when I'm sharing my
Well, it must be
art.
a rush when it does connect, though. Must
Yeah,
be amazing for an
yeah.
artist to come off stage going, "Oh my God, it worked."
Well, yes, and I'm also right now, I've got this incredible band. I gotta give them a shout out because they're really so accomplished. My main collaborator, Mike Farrell, brought me the other guys, but I met him, I don't know, like 6 or 7 years ago. doing a jazz project, and then we kept working together. He's been collaborating and touring and writing with Alanis Morissette for many, many, many years.
Mm.
And he brought me all these guys who had played in Alanis's band at one point or another. The drummer, Victor Indrizzo, still does tour with Alanis and Mike. David Levita is the guitarist who tours with Tim McGraw and Faith Hill and has played with many, many people. And then Sean Hurley, my bassist, is also quite well known in the music industry, playing with John Mayer and Lizzie McAlpin and tons of people. I mean, and it's been so exciting to be working with these guys who work with people who I idolize. Because when I've seen them playing live with Alanis and then they show up at my house, that also helps my confidence. You know, it
Of
makes me
course.
feel like,
Yeah.
okay, well, they wouldn't be doing this if they didn't think I was pretty good. So
Yeah, right.
that
Exactly.
helps.
They would, and you're right. They wouldn't be doing that if,
Yeah.
if it's not. Some people think, oh, I'm a guitarist for hire or whatever. But if they don't like what's going on musically, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, they have a lot of choices on who they get to spend their time with. So,
Amazing, huh?
yeah.
And they're going to be there 28th and 29th, and
Yes,
oh,
yes,
good for you.
yes. Uh-huh.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that show. It sounds like a really cool one.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely let you know. We'll be absolutely bringing it to LA as
Mm.
well.
We're going to slide out into another commercial. Surprise, surprise. We're going to go with a song called My Time Now, which is another interesting title. Well, we have to hear about when we come back, if
Okay.
you don't mind. All right. So it's a Mike Gormley show, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes with Susannah B, who's telling us some really good stories. See you in a bit.